dedicated women's league to fill the gap between college and professional soccer. A league that's committed to advancing women's soccer, focusing on the development of the female soccer player during the summer months, elevating the competition to help each player reach that next level, providing high-level soccer for collegiate players, aspiring and former professionals, and international stars. Operating with professional standards because players and fans deserve an exceptional experience. Uniting players that inspire and are inspired. We are passionately growing the women's game. The future is bright for United Women's Soccer. It's time. Be part of the movement.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to UWS Weekly. I'm your host, Jonathan Ward, and tonight we're actually really excited to talk to our friends in Maine with Maine Footy to talk a little bit about the happenings of what's going on up there in Portland and kind of have an idea of what's next as they have started off with a UWS side, now starting a UWS League 2 side, and kind of just taking the ground and running with it and taking the league by storm. Joining me tonight, representing the team, is going to be founder and acting general manager Justin Van Til. Justin, thank you so much for taking the time to join me this afternoon, evening. I don't even know, evening here in California, night at your spot. How's everything going, man?
Good evening, Jonathan. Good to see you, man.
Great seeing you.
Things are great.
So let's talk a little bit. Year one last year, I think you guys started off really hot last year. At one point, top 3 in the league. Kind of at the end, it started to even out a little bit. Tell us about year one in the UWS and what all you guys learned from that experience.
Well, we learned that starting our journey saying we're going to go win the league, you got to get humbled a little bit, right? We did this because we intend to go as far as possible, and our goal ultimately was to host a playoff spot, which was a big goal look, there's 17 teams in the East, and we looked at the rosters and like, wow, there's some great players, great teams. We didn't get to that goal of hosting a spot, but we made the playoffs, and we should be very proud of that as a first-year team. Not only that, but we started late. I mean, if you recall, when working with Commissioner Joe Ferraro, by the time we came in and came in the league, a lot of the top players in the Northeast had already kind of committed to various teams. We are fortunate that the board and the people that kind of came together to create Maine Footy had some good connections with the college coaches. We also recognize, take it to the next step, it can't just be the Northeast as well. But and we'll talk about that later, how we're going to go international and the ties that we're doing with the players to give them experiences they couldn't get at other places as a draw to come up to Maine. But to answer your question on year one, we came in with lofty goals. The fact that we made the playoffs, we're very happy. I mean, the loss to Sporting, we shouldn't feel bad about. We actually only lost to one team last year. It was Sporting, twice. I think we're going to do all right with them against this year. I'll put that out there. I feel much better this year. But no, to answer your question, it was commissioner said the standards were going to be high. And we looked at the standards and we said we're going to meet and exceed them. I think we did that in terms of the experience.
Absolutely.
I think from a winning, getting points in 7 of 8 games, great. Right. Up until the playoffs where we met just a superior team, which to my knowledge went to the finals, right?
Absolutely. It came out to California.
I watched that match. It was a very hot day on California, if I remember watching that match.
It was warm.
It was a warm day. But no, we'd love to be there one of these days. But no, thanks for asking. We're happy to be part of the league.
Now, this year, you've added a little wrinkle. You've brought in a UWS League 2 team. What was the concept behind that? Having a League 1 team that was successful, now you're bringing in a League 2 team. Knowing the dedication and opportunities that you guys provide, what was so important about making sure to add that second team?
So it's the continuity from U9 to U30, if you want to put it that way. Okay.
Fair.
Maine Footy sits at the top of the pyramid here. So it's not as if a lot of teams we play have that feeder system built in. There's some excellent premier clubs in Maine. Some of the players we also grab will be in that Massachusetts top tier. They play ECNL or they play Academy and so forth. But since we didn't have our ability to groom our players all the way up through and just sit there, we have to partner with all the premier clubs, be able to have a feeder system to develop the talent. And when we say develop talent, it's not saying, oh, well, that player is now playing Division I, but not getting any time. Well, if they're playing Division I and not getting any time, they're probably not going to be an impact player in the UWS. Fair?
Fair enough. Fair statement.
It's just a general statement. There's always exceptions to every assumption, but let's just start it there. However, there's a lot of players that are sophomores, juniors in high school that if they're given that opportunity to train with our first team that also play premier level soccer, Academy, ECNL, there's that level of continuity and mentorship that our top group are giving them that we can start thinking, Portland, Maine is a great destination. There's only a couple 100,000 in our vicinity, right? 250,000 within our region. It's not as if we have an ability to recruit from 10, 20 colleges or 1 million people. In Massachusetts and Boston, there's a lot of competition. So I think, answer your question, be able to have that system of continuity coming up through and sitting at the top of the pyramid, getting the best high school players that then give us that core to then go build around. We think it's the right thing to do. We'll see. Look, our first match for UWS 2 is against Mutiny on Saturday. And I think the talent will be there. Who knows the outcome? Todd Sniper, actually, our director of football, is taking that team as well, which is also great. I know you had Todd on everything. So Todd gets to handle the coaches and the first team, but he's also handling, we call them the reserves, UWS 2. But it's high school, it's some Division I players, some D2, 3 players. I would bet you that the group that's playing Mutiny's Saturday, I bet of that group of 24 that are training, 6 of them end up playing for the first team. And that's a great story that you're going to see them from 17 years old being a 23-year-old that went through, or a 22-year-old playing. So that's the goal.
I mean, we're seeing 13, 14, 15-year-olds who were taking the league by storm in other parts. So who's to say one of the younger players doesn't get an opportunity by the end of this season for you guys? I
think we'll have that within the next 2 games, actually.
There you go. See,
and if people in Maine are listening, they're going to be like, all right, which one's going to get called up?
Hey, it's a numbers game at that point, right?
There is one that I could tell you our first team coach, Will Pike, as they've been scrimmaging on Thursday nights, the first team are taking those reserves and they give them a good beating. All right. They give them a good beating. You play a 30-minute scrimmage, it may be 3-0, 5-0 first team. But then you get our first team coach being like, whoa. I know we had this girl over here who was all world, right, that you recruited in. But that kid right there, she's pretty much the same thing. I want to call her up. So it's good to see that competition and scrimmage that we didn't have last year.
And I think competition is healthy in a way that it provides players an opportunity to see what they might be missing, and they can definitely use the summer of soccer to kind of develop a skill or develop a mindset or develop an opportunity for themselves going forward. So having the UWS League 1 and League 2 teams in Maine definitely provides a different perspective, but also gives more opportunity to the players who need that extra oomph, that extra push to get to that next level of talent opportunity in not just the UWS, but soccer itself. Let's talk a little bit about
on that one thing, kind of cool going on. Few weeks at St. Joseph's College, where half our team's staying in the dorm and training. We're doing this thing called the My ID Clinic or College Compass Clinic. And what's interesting about that is you're going to have, these aspiring aspiring college players, high school players that would really like to be the ones playing on that UWS 2 training team and maybe getting some team time. doing clinics, but the people running it, the clinic, will be our first team players. So think about that mentorship going on where you got a girl who played 5 years at PSG or played for Wolverhampton for a year or two, or played in the Croatian national team or Lebanese national team. Now, today, those women are playing at like a D2 level schools around the country, okay? But they're going to be running the camp, the clinic. Our second team players, all of a sudden they get to train with them, but they're told, oh, no, but today you're a camper. You're a camper because you need to aspire to get to that level, right? And then there's the freshman or, the freshman, sophomore in high school that thinks that she's going to be the next, Alex Morgan on their high school team. Well, they have to, so it's the all aspire up, right? It's whole mentorship down, aspire up kind of model. And look, that's a mentality of a community, right? Then you're like an 8th grader or 7th grader saying, I'm going to get myself to that My ID camp, and I'm going to show that girl I'm worthy of to play UWS 2, because that's a pathway that we didn't have in Maine. So that's the model, obviously, and I think it's going to take time, right, Jonathan? It doesn't happen in a year, but you set the foundation for it.
I see it a lot. We in our community here in California, it's very much parents and families always see the ECNL piece as the next development piece. But now everybody has an acronym, I feel like. But there's one acronym that I have to attest to because I've seen it actually work and it's been great. They've only been around for 4 or 5 years. That's the GA, the Girls Academy.
Sure.
And they do a lot of similar stuff to those ID camps and those ID tournaments. I mean, they have thousands of college coaches and over the next few years with those opportunities, I'm sure you guys are going to pick up on those. And those ID camps really give women an extra set of eyes on them in that they can establish more for themselves. And I think you guys are on the right path by having those talent ID camps because it does speak volumes, not only for the nonprofit, not only for Maine Footy, but for soccer in Maine too, which sometimes if you look at the NWSL and you look at these bigger leagues, they don't cast a big enough net, right? So that net is very shallow. They're looking at main areas that are high populated areas, but they miss kids. I look at the young woman who was with the Dash or who was with the Dash who lived in Wisconsin, and look at what happened. That national team member, now the richest player in NWSL, but not looked at by NWSL at any point based off of her location or her locale. So kudos to that.
Well, also on that note, though, we're also taking a spin on it. So we have a handful of GA players from the Northeast playing on our UWS 2 team. Thing is that very few can get to that level. And a lot of the problems with the ID camps, and you know this, it's coaches don't really know who you are. They take the $200-300 and they kind of already know who they're looking for, and then they discount the rest. And there really isn't that compass or that path. Well, how do you help them too? It's very much you're in or you're out. And so, yes, we are like that at the Maine Footy level. We want the best players, and the coaches are going to look at the best players. But what about a lot of those other players that still need a path? So we're calling it My ID, actually. So that player has a different journey. Maybe one journey is I'm going to make reserves. I'm going to turn my computer off. I'm sorry. And then I'm going to go make myself to the first team. Well, some just playing club soccer is good enough.
Yep.
Some maybe they figure out the right college. We're trying to help players at the nonprofit level, right, navigate their soccer journey. And those that are good enough, as defined by the coaches, that's a whole different experience. But, again, in Maine, you're going to have, and the phrase I hate is diamonds in the rough. Oh, I did an ECNL search and I took them, and that's how I recruit. Right. The ones that couldn't make Villanova or they couldn't make it near enough to Clemson, I'll go take them. We don't think like that, right? We'd rather get them early, nurture them, shepherd them in the right direction. You never know over time where it ends up. So just the philosophy we have.
I like it. And think about how far it's come in just a year, right? We had talked last year around this time too about that nonprofit, but also I'm curious to know, we'd spoken about that mentorship program. How is that turning out for you guys as well? Obviously, well, with the ID camp, but having that mentorship program that's built into the nonprofit, that's built into Maine Footy, how is that establishing and how is that actually helping the general Maine community to understand what's going on?
The reason the answer is it's good, but it's good because we are fortunate to the model that we set up. because the model allows it that the sponsors and donors, and I hope anyone that even checks out our website, you'll see that there's 15 corporations and about 10 families that came, or foundations that came together to say, we're going to fund the operations of the football. So those group, you know, that we're going to have top shelf kits, places to stay, food, coaches, fields, right? That's taken care of. So once we know that, then we know that the supporters that come to those matches that own the badge, or everything that comes out of that, can, all of the ticket revenue, the supporters badge revenue, can be donated into the community efforts. Makes it easy because we have that model set up, that then the community knows that by going to our matches and supporting us or buying the merch that says Maine Footy on it, they're investing in the community, they're investing in themselves. So now we're in a position where the match last Saturday had 500 people, okay? Maybe more, but I'm going to go down, say 500. Of that, about half of them were supporters. They already had the merch. Well, the other 250 ended up giving a $20 donation to go to the match. And it was a fun match. You have 5 food trucks and games and all that stuff. So it was more of a concert than a match. So you had good football and a game. But the point is, we're sitting and I don't do the math in front of you, but I have a big chunk of cash over here. So don't rob my house that I got to go deposit in the bank. That big chunk of cash is all going into the community. So to the mentorship, now we're in a position that says we have a dozen players living at St. Joseph's College, international players, you know, great kids. Let's go fund them to work with clubs, towns, do scholarship programs, mental health, nutrition, do all sorts of off-pitch development, as much as giving free clinics and inviting them in. So the mentorship that we do, or whatever, kind of reinvesting in the community, it's what makes us different. It's our brand, okay? But it never works if we don't have sponsors and donors to make the soccer ops happen. So with myself and, you know, the call and obviously, you know, Lizzie Hobbs is a friend of the program and a partner of yours, and she's our head of marketing. And you, if people watch the show, know Lizzie. You know, I was on a call with Lizzie and 8 other colleagues from 8 to 9 before we got on. 2/3 of that call was about what are we doing in the community with programming. About a third, 20 minutes, we chatted about, okay, food trucks, all this, all the standards, the game. That's just like on autopilot for us. Have a good team, operate it right, build out programming. I love it because more people that go to the matches, the more is going back to them. Now, would it be nice if other teams followed suit? I hope we're just setting a good model, Jonathan, where the club, then the volleyball or lacrosse or all these other things that have pre-professional whatever, look at what we've done at Feet Network to create this Maine Footy team. I don't want to do it. I have no time. I have a real job and I'm like a part-time GM to this thing, right? I don't have time to do it, but it'd be nice if we set the model and then the other sports say, hey, we can do this.
Absolutely.
Look at Maine Footy. They did a great product and they invested in the community. So people want to donate, you can go to our website. You know, the funds are going back into the community. So you can go do that. And I'll do a plug for that right now.
3 games into the season, you've had 2 away. Your first home game, Worcester Fuel, this past weekend. What was based off of what you've experienced from year 1 to year 2? What would you say the newness or the newcomers? What's the percentage of newcomers that you guys have been able to bring back or in based off of your community efforts from last year?
We say newcomers, you're talking about players coming back
No,
to the
newcomers
team?
in like new audience, new community partners, new spectators.
So this year we had more time and we were racing like hell to get a team last year. So we had the whole fall and winter to think now, right? So it was more reaching out to the community town clubs. So there are towns in the community of the Portland area, like Portland, and names that maybe people in the Northeast would know, like Saco and Yarmouth and Bonnie Eagle, Cape Elizabeth, or premier clubs like Maine Lightning or Southern Maine FC, where they looked at it and said, I love what you're doing. I'd like our support, our parents and players to be aware of it. So they joined us on the journey. Whenever we communicate something, they communicate with us. And so as a thank you that we end up building like an army of marketing, of awareness, they become a partner. And of course, you give partners benefits, vouchers and discounts and all this stuff. But it's a different model, Jonathan, because typically you call an organization, they'll be like, how much is it? Well, what do I have to do? Like they're taken back by like they think we're trying to charge money, like charge something. Like, no, we're just asking you to lean in with us. And by leaning in with us, A, football is awesome that you're watching, right? You're going to games. And B, there's youth that would love to hear about what we're doing, whether it's a 9-year-old or a 18-year-old. So we've gotten partners to come on board. So sponsors, donors, clubs, and towns have joined us in the journey. I would hope more come, but there's in anything when you're doing something like this, Jonathan, there's early adopters, right? That have the vision. I'm sorry, this won't stop. But then there's frustrating that, sometimes you hope a group will spread the word with you, but we'll get there.
On that lean in model, when you talk about lean in from other clubs in the area, last year we thought that maybe it'd be difficult at first, but based off of the lean in model from year 1 to now year 2, how has the reception been, and how many players you've been able to help give an audience or give an opportunity to this summer so far?
Players being youth?
Yep.
Oh, dozens and dozens. We've had teams come to our trainings. We've had free clinics. 100.
That's awesome.
Well, it was interesting. So we had a game last Saturday. We had 2 of our towns come, and after the game was over, all these players go into the net, and we had 30 Sharpies, and we had 40 some odd youth players getting autographs from our players. And it was almost reminded me of when Rose Lavelle played for the Boston Breakers going back, I don't know how many years ago. Lavelle played for the Breakers the first game, and those games, there would be little kids. My daughter must have been like 11. So maybe 6, 7 years ago. There was a line of 100 kids.
Oh, man.
To get her signature at Boston, right? It's kind of a model we want to do, obviously at a smaller level, where the young girls get the Sharpie and get the pen. And it was funny, we had one of our big attackers is a leading scorer for University of New Hampshire, and a story I heard from one of the players who's living in my basement actually today said, quote, was, "That was the greatest experience. I can't believe I gave autographs." Isn't that kind of cool? And so
that changes everything, and it's a memory that player will never lose, because that one moment playing for Maine Footy in the summer of 2024, summer of soccer, this was my experience, and hopefully it catapults them to the next opportunity that they get.
Well, I'm hoping the next opportunity is when we get to go out to the West Coast and play in a final. I think that's what they really want to get to.
West Coast or East Coast, a final's a final. I'll tell you that right now.
Is the final coming east this year? So we don't have
to. I don't know. I cannot confirm nor deny where it might be. I've heard rumblings of something fun. So it's still in the talks, but we'll find out what happens.
I'm guessing with all the Michigan, I mean the growth in that area of the country, they should be lobbying for the central zone, because the Northeast looks great, the East looks great. That central area, wow, I'm impressed.
Everywhere's looking great. It's just a matter of making sure everybody can come together at one point.
Sure. I agree.
2024, new season, new opportunity. Obviously, after the success of year 1 with Maine Footy, you had this idea that year 2 is going to follow suit. The only thing is you got to get over that hurdle of Sporting Connecticut. This year, we jump in May 18th, Ludlow, Massachusetts, New England Mutiny. And you guys walked away with 0 points out of that match. Tell us a little bit about it. Was it jitters, first game jitters? Was it a look ahead? What was going on in that match? Obviously, you have a rematch at home with them at Deering High School this weekend. So that's a little bit of an opportunity to get one back. But obviously, the first one out and having that, not taking any points away, doesn't leave a good feeling heading into the next match.
That day they were a far better team. So sometimes that happens. Doesn't mean they're a better team every right. So I think I would expect it's a very competitive game this weekend. So I wouldn't take the first game as a litmus test per se. I also don't think the 2 wins against Worcester really were very much of a litmus test either. So really, I look at it, really the season starts this Saturday for us with a 2-1 record and 6 points. That's really how big I look at it. No, this is the one game I didn't get to go to, and I love that pitch that Joe has there, and the Mutiny pitch. It's exceptional. I think the players enjoyed going there because we had 6 returners. Many had never been there to play there.
Okay.
But the feedback, and I watched a little bit of the stream was a little rough, but we let them knock the ball around a lot. We let them control the midfield. There are ways we can change that. I would hope that someone like a Kat Berry can stay home if she'd like this Saturday, and I think we'd be fine with some of their best players deciding to go tape a nice dinner in Boston and not come up. But no, but in all honesty, even with their best 11 and the team, which is a great roster, we have a really strong group. Exceptional keeper. The defensive back 4 had never played together. They had not had scrimmage. They had not had a game before that. So it's not an excuse. Over, say, 28 times. This is not an excuse, but just a fact that if you're to say to a really good back 4, a player who played again, Croatian national team, Lebanese national team, BC to Florida Gulf, and our returning captain, Logan, who wasn't there that day. So we didn't have our returning captain. You hadn't played a game yet. And then you're going to say, hey, we're going to go have, a UConn top scorer and a Kat Berry and, a very, very strong Mutiny team that had played together for years against it. I would have been shocked, Jonathan, if we walked away with a draw. That would have been incredible that day. Okay. So we're not explaining it away. They were a better team that day. I don't think that really is a litmus test for what we're doing. Neither do I think the 2 Worcester games, because we just knocked the ball around too much and we didn't really play at a level we would need to. Though the 6-0 and 3-0 against Worcester. And if Worcester and Ray and the team hears this, it's no disrespect to them at all as a team. They're with the group, but the way those games were played didn't exactly translate to what we're going to have to deal with on Saturday either. Okay. So I'd say the season really starts Saturday, and I know the girls are training right now, and women are training now, and I'd assume various systems would have to be put in place to do things differently to Mutiny than we let them do in the first, in terms of when to press, when not to, when to trap, when not to, how to handle that game. But
well, let's talk a little bit about just the games and moments, right? We've had 3 matches. My question might be more for Sniper at this point, but
yeah.
0 goals in the first half. How alarming is that? And I ask because you guys have you're even last year at some points you guys were a second half team, but to muster 0 goals in the first half of matches. How does that, as a GM, how does that work? And is it something that can be fixed? Is it a remedy? Is it a conversation? How do we go about making sure that this next match and beyond, we don't have zeros on the board after the first 45?
One, it's definitely a question for Sniper, but 2, we'd probably give a different answer. So I'm going to go with my angle. My angle is that chemistry can't be under on this one. This isn't about the quality of the players and the number of chances. It's the quality of the chances. Okay. We had a lot of shots, but you know what? We look at it and you even saw the glimpse of it. And I was talking again to Sally Rainier, our captain, goalkeeper. She's not only a great keeper, but she's loud and a great leader on the pitch. And I'll tell you one thing about Rainey. We talk all the time about this. You start to see chemistry with players and how 2 players start to play together and knocking the ball around. It takes a bit of time. And it may be within every game as well. The quality of the chances in the second half, the number of chances are about the same, but the quality of where they happen have been more precise, more fine-tuned, better chances in the second. The other angle, we could say Will Pike's just an exceptional coach, but I don't think it's that. I think he is a great coach, but I think it comes down to chemistry of the players, and we need to have more. Every year, every game gets better. And Worcester's not a good litmus test to me, because it might have been. I don't know. Is that a fair answer though? I mean, I don't think
Fair
sometimes
answer.
the
Hey,
questions.
as a GM, you gotta
Well,
be able to talk to the people.
yeah, but I mean, sometimes there's a question, which is a fair question, where even if there is you can chalk it up to we don't have enough data. We don't
You
have
could
enough
say
good
none of data.
examples.
It's been 3 games. It's been 3 games, and we didn't have. This is a stat that I didn't really track last year as much
Yeah,
as I probably should have, because who knows? Maybe it was is the same thing for a lot of teams. And I only asked because 7 goals, 4-3 against, those 3 being against New England in the first match out. But at the same time, you would expect to see something over the 3 games, 1 goal, 2 goals in that first half. But
I agree. I agree.
all 7 goals come in the second half. And again, off air, we had talked a little bit about, hey, that's a great halftime speech that's coming in. So maybe that's just the way it is, and maybe we don't see a goal in the first half, but you guys are able to keep from conceding going forward in the second half and even the first half, and we see more opportunities come to fruition over the course of the season.
Yeah.
You're gonna ponder that one the rest of the night. That one's gonna
No,
stay with you
it's
a
just
little
funny.
bit.
I'm just thinking about, you're watching a game and someone would always say, let's say you scored 2 goals. We should have had 10. Everyone talks about the should have goals, right? And I look at it of, was it really a quality chance or not? And I think the best chances that we've had as a team when we really start to break the line and get the chance there has been in the second half. And I am going to ponder it tonight. And
See,
then I'm going
but
to
and
then I'm
here's
gonna text Sniper and be like, hey, you know what? Stay in your lane. You're
but
just
you
the
ready
guy
for
up
this
there
one.
running the thing. I'll get to stay in your lane. Don't worry about it. So
In the East Conference, only one team has scored in the first half of a match. One team in the first half of a match
who?
out of all the teams, and that was the New England Mutiny against you
Mutiny
guys. So
against us.
all the other teams, they are, so when you look at it, of all the goals being scored, every goal has been a second half goal, with the exception of that one that Mutiny had, based off the data that I'm seeing. So it's a second
Okay.
half. It's an East Conference thing, obviously, where the East Conference is finding ways to score goals in the second half of matches, not just the first.
Well, and then now you have a lot of data. So
See,
that's
I've
an interesting stat. And you probably knew that before you asked the question to get me at it. So
maybe I just wanted to see which way you were gonna, which angle you had.
it's so funny. You watch these players and they're starting to learn each other, and it
Yeah.
really comes down to learn where it's that extra pass. You're starting to see the chemistry amongst players that from different schools, different systems. They're all buying in. They're all. You never have an all. Most are buying into the system Will employs, and you end up seeing what looks like a you know a 4-2-3-1, which is really a 3-2-4-1. Okay, it really is a 3-2-4-1 with a tuck in, right? And it's interesting to see how that thing just evolves throughout a game.
So
And maybe
I have been wronged because my data obviously on my end is not correct. Coach Mitch out of the Hudson Valley Crusaders just made sure I knew they put 5 in the first half. So, but regardless, it's still a limited number. So, Mitch, if you're listening, I'm not saying that it's a negative. We're just seeing more goals in the second half with everybody, as opposed to where you guys have put 5 in the back of the good old onion bag first half. So,
well,
it's
can
an
I ask
interesting thing.
Jonathan? So I was, Hudson Valley and Coach Mitch. I noted they had a draw against the Connecticut Rush, I believe, 1-1. But I noted, are they a new team because they beat Albany the first game and they came in and we were just talking about the league. Someone asked me about Hudson Valley.
Newly promoted. They were in the UWS League 2 last year. This year they were
Yeah.
promoted to UWS League 1. Coach Kazanjian has done a really good job with them, and they are that 1-1 tie they had on Saturday. I'm sure he's a tactician, and I'm sure he's been pondering the ideas of how to not have that happen again. And you guys don't actually get to play them until
No.
playoff time. You get them playoff time, so that would be
Well,
a good one.
what city are they in? Where do they
They're
play?
out of Hudson Valley, New York. So what would that be? That will be New Paltz, New
New
York.
Paltz. Okay.
Yep. So Hawk Drive area.
Cool.
So
Oh,
yeah, no, it's good. I'm excited to see it. That's good information. I'm glad Mitch was able to share that information because again, it's kind of silly to think that nobody's scoring goals in the first half of matches, but if they're putting up 5, that makes a little sense. So I'll have to look back at the score sheet. So, Coach, if you have that stuff, you could just email that over to me, Jay Ward at uwssoccer.com. I'll make sure we write the stats up because the game card might not have reflected the proper scores. Doing
well,
my
I
little part
watched
here.
you. So, Jay, I watched your Saturday morning show for a bit, and you were going through all the game high, like the season, the stuff. I think it'd be cool. One thing I think we should do for the league in general is ask the coaches and the GMs to kind of send you their thoughts, almost like drop it into a Google Drive. So it's like, here's what's going on in our minds. Here's what's going on in the camp. Here's kind of what we're thinking for the next week. And then then all of a sudden you and Lizzie have this like big pile of information from all the teams to go play with.
See, and so there's the devil advocate as a coach on my end.
You don't
I'm not somebody who likes to share secrets sometimes. I I'm very much like, all right, I'm gonna hold this one close. I get where you're coming from in terms of like sharing information or ideas like, hey, this was the approach, but some coaches are growing up, coaches didn't like other coaches, whereas now we're kind of more free in sharing information. But when it comes to how we set up or what
we're
we're
not going to
doing,
talk
tactic,
about, well, who would ever do
oh,
that? No one would do that. No, you'd never do that.
I would just because I coach the little side.
Yeah, no, but I mean, a lot of coaches, you're going to tell them what you're not going to do. I mean, that's the old. No, I mean more about here's how we're thinking. Here's I don't know. It's just something that would
I
be
like
interesting. Yeah,
I like the thought process.
a little bit of
We might
color.
have to explore that.
Boy, a little bit of color. Here's what's going on in the camp. Almost like ESPN's going to the camp saying, hey, here's what's happening.
Well, there we go. I'm gonna maybe I should just fly out. Maybe I should just fly out to Maine and Hudson Valley and do interviews. Spend a weekend out that way.
It's beautiful here. It's vacation land. You should come to Maine.
Oh man.
Come watch a game.
Well, we just
I
broke ground on the Soul Soccer Academy on the other side of the barn here. So we got a full size pitch coming in soon. So maybe I host the national championship soon.
well, full size pitch. We talked about that before. The thing, full size pitch should be at least 70 yards wide, preferably 74, because actually top players realize the importance of the space. So what are the dimensions of the award pitch?
The Soul Soccer pitch, he just sent that over to me. So we're going 240 feet wide by 360 feet long. So we're gonna have a true FIFA size pitch.
That is Arsenal Man City, and we like that as big as it goes.
Got to get some hydro seed out there. We're slowly but surely making the wave. The tractor is as if you've been watching the morning show, the tractor is not in the background. My son's been in the background grabbing his fishing poles. He's trying to run out to the pond and catch some bluegill. But you
You
never
have
know.
to actually check your numbers. I wonder though, is the length might not be FIFA regulations.
FIFA gives me 70 yards wide, so
I don't
yeah, it
think
would
it's the length. I think it's 115 on the length though, isn't it?
180.
No, 115 yards times 3 is 3.
120. 120 by 80 yards.
So you're doing 120. So you're
I'm
doing
doing
360.
120.
Oh, you are
Yeah,
doing it right.
we're doing it right. We're doing yeah,
I am
we
wrong.
got to go.
No,
Well, hey, so,
I'm crazy, Jonathan. I actually go to every game, and people watching from Maine know this. Even when my kid was 9 years old, we'd go play little U9 things. I'm like, nope, this is improper. You can't play this. Soccer is about manipulating space.
yep.
How do you manipulate space if you don't have it? So I am a stickler that I go to everything, and I'm crazy, and I will see how many feet is it from the edge of the 18 to the hash mark, and I try to get 5 steps. If we can't get the 5 steps, we have a problem. Most fields in Maine, most pitches are 2 steps, so it's 68 wide. That is from the top players that we have, absolutely unacceptable. They don't have the space to do their job. She mentioned it. Our Croatian left wing back mentioned it 2 Saturdays ago at a game. We you know what you should do. You should accept donations from the Feet Network. We will donate some hydro seed for you in our program. Just send us the
Training camp, June training. What is it? Early May training camp here in California. That'd be nice. Actually, weather's not bad.
That is a good use of our donated dollars. I'm actually serious about that. I think we
There
can
you
go to the
go.
board and say, Jonathan Ward needs some hydro seed, and we'll take it from the community that invests in us and give it back to UWS.
Ooh, I like it. See, and then I'll get the trailer hookups, and everybody just bring it's like Field of Dreams. You build it, they will come. There we go.
One of the
Absolutely.
greatest movies ever.
Well,
Yep.
so hey, Justin, tell me, you got a home game this weekend, and I don't want to take up any more of your time because I know it's late on your side of the states here. But tell us a little bit about Saturday. You got New England Mutiny coming into town. It's going to be a good game. How do people find out more information and possibly get to that match and spectate? Love to see 2,000 people in the stands on Saturday for you guys.
Someday we'll get there. Well, the someday we're gonna have our own grass pitch, Jonathan, but that's a conversation for another day that we're working on. But our pitch is in the city of Portland, Deering High School, just one of the two high schools. It's a football field, American football field, but we've got soccer on top of it. It does have about 3,000 people can attend. I've seen 3,000 at a soccer game there before. But it's so go to mainefooty.com and you can buy we don't call them tickets, as we talked about our model. You can make your donation, that $20 to go. If you already have that merch, you have that badge that you own, it's free. But no, mainefooty.com is where to get it. I'm going to make a plug, though, to something we've invested heavily, and I mean invested, not only money, but time and people. We're streaming our matches. And I saw a couple streams from UWS. Actually, it was Scorpions, who's no longer in our league, but I went to a game they played Maine Footy last year, and I watched them do it. The play-by-play and the color and the TV. It was really well done. And I took that back to Maine, and I said to our board, we're going to do it better. So we invested, and this is like a little partnership, right? City of Portland, we need the top internet, highest internet speed possible. Okay. We need a platform where we use Boxcast where we can push out maximum data through. So this thing that we stream can go on television. So if, the big three TV stations, one of these days, they're going to say, we're going to show the Maine Footy game on their broadcast. We've invested in our play-by-play is the sports broadcaster from the Big Jab, the sports radio that everyone knows, Taylor Mannix. The guests are college coaches. So to the extent that we want to have 2,000 people at the match, and we'll probably get, hopefully 500-600 as we're building up this community, be able to stream the matches with quality play-by-play analysts, have guests, have commercials that recognize our sponsors and donors. Have it streamed that it looks like I'm watching a Champions League game on Paramount, right? On Paramount Plus, like proper streaming. That's huge for us for many reasons.
100%.
We want coaches that are sending us players internationally and nationally to watch the game and see the experience and see how our coach coaches, right? We want them to see the experience of what it's like with the 5 food trucks and the bus and the tent and the field. So I know you asked me how you go to a match. Not everyone's in Maine. It's hard, right? If you go to Maine, it's great. Make your donation, come. It's awesome. But if not, it's on our mainefooty.com stream site, and very proud of it. And hopefully someday you'll be right there on you got your Hulu or Paramount Plus, and I can watch Maine Footy play Mutiny, and hopefully it's a win instead of what happened last time. I don't know how to turn off this.
That's all good. Well, you have a chance of redemption this weekend. It's again, it's a 7 p.m. Eastern kickoff, Saturday, June 8th. Mutiny coming to town.
Yep.
You can catch it live on the streaming opportunities with Maine Footy on the website, but also in person during High School, Stevens Avenue, Portland, Maine. Get your popcorn ready. It's a big one.
It's going to be great. And then we got 2 more. I mean, we have sporting at the end of June. We know we got the Bro Rush in early July. And we already know, Jonathan, honestly, it's like, all right, we got these 2 partner day where we got the town of Saco and Cape Elizabeth playing on the field this weekend. And we know we got Maine Lightning Day for sporting on the 29th. We know we've got Yarmouth and Southern Maine FC. So like the kids lined up, who's going. So to the extent that, yes, primary focus is winning games. Right, that's why we do all this.
You don't play for draws because nobody wants to take a point and leave one on the pitch.
We've had a town hall and a media day, and one thing which is great about Coach Will Pike and his staff, he recognizes that the greatest product is winning, and he's a serial winner. And this league is tough to win. The teams we're playing, I was telling people around here about Mutiny. One of their attackers played for the Orlando Pride.
Yep.
And I don't remember her. Horvath, maybe is her name. She doesn't start for them half the time. Like this talent is exceptional, right? The teams we're playing. So it's humbling at times, right? We're sitting here, you create a team, you're playing in Maine, you got a bunch of players. We're playing some great teams. So we recognize that, and hopefully we come out on top.
That's the goal at the end of the day, finding a way to win.
Yeah.
Got to be able to do it and move on to the next one, because the summer of soccer in the UWS is short. You've only got a handful of games to leave your mark and move on to the playoffs.
And then we end up at your place in outside Sacramento on your pitch for the final. Maybe that's why.
Highway 80 on your way up to Lake Tahoe. You can 2 for 1. Lake Tahoe, Auburn, California. It's pretty nice this time of year. I'm excited. So, well, hey, listen, Justin, I know you've got things to do. I appreciate you giving me the time and the access you did for the last 45 minutes. I enjoyed our conversation, as I always do. Hopefully everybody is able to enjoy it as well. So for me and for Justin, the founder and acting general manager of Maine Footy.
GM. We're looking for a proper one. If anyone would like to do my job, please send me I think I got about 30 texts come through my phone since this call started. But no, in all seriousness, Jonathan, the doing this is a lot of work, and we have an awesome team of people doing it. But I'm a donor myself into this, in creating it. So one thing you want to do when you build something is hand it off to someone to do it better. Ultimately, I would love to be able to hand this role of putting the pieces together to somebody and watch it grow. And then maybe I could have your job and sit and do marketing for the league, and I could work together. Not take your job, work with you. I enjoy that. Help grow the league.
You can have my job. It's a lot of work these days.
No, it is a ton of work, and a lot of us are volunteers, right? Yep. At the end of the day, we're all volunteers. At the end, this doesn't pay bills. It's a labor of love, and hopefully, again, we win, but the community wins in doing that. 100%. And that thing that your intro video that you show, which was that JP Del Camera, is that his voice?
Yeah, that's the voice of the GOAT.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I think we should show it more. And even at Maine Footy, I think we should show that more into our community.
Gotta pull it up. It's got to redo some of the video on it, but we can pull the audio, and we got to redo video with what we have now. But again, things that take some time. When I have the tractor in, it lags. Luckily, the tractor's not in the barn tonight, so made it a little easier on the ears.
Well, here's an idea. I say we do the his next video, like that video. We should come do it at Deering and at Stevens Avenue, because we have about a team of 3 on the video side. We could create a really nice one for the league.
I got the voice. We just need the video. I'm just saying. We just, between FC Buffalo and Maine Footy, we could put something fun together. We could.
I'll pay for the ticket. Come on out. We're having you anytime.
All right. Well, there it is. Maine it might be. Maine it might be. So,
all right.
Until next time, everybody, have a great evening. Have a safe weekend, and we will talk to everyone in the next few weeks as we kind of get ready for the summer of soccer and start putting stuff together. Justin, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Have a good night, Jonathan.
All right. Cheers, everyone. We'll see you guys another night.